So now what we're going to talk about is footwear. If there's anywhere in this that you're going to be able to put a little bit of money into, I totally and 100% recommend that you put money into your boots and your socks. That's what you'll be spending most of your time on, is your feet, of course. So buy yourself a good boot. Again, don't be afraid to try a few different pair on, different sizes on. I recommend, of course, putting some sort of sock that you'll be wearing with it on when you try them on. I've gone for the Scarpa R Evolution Plus GTX. Great boot. I love them. I think they're absolutely fantastic. They're quite a light boot. Again, this isn't a product review or promotion. I'm just saying this is what I have. Downside: it's a leather base with a little bit of neoprene, some rubber. Great. But they don't dry out in a very quick manner. So if you know you're going on a hike where you're going to be soaked, then perhaps a different choice for that particular hike. If I were to go on the Athabasca Pass again, I would purchase a different type of boot, simply because this one, you pretty much need a boot that you're able to dry out overnight. So you need a synthetic type boot. You don't need a leather boot. Once leather gets wet, it wicks a little bit of water out, but ultimately the minute any more water gets on it, you're wet. Get good boots. Spend the money on good boots. Socks to go in them. Lots of different brands out there right now. Darn Tough. This Darn Tough is the brand I use. Apparently they are made out of I want to say Connecticut, and I hope I'm right on that. But now I want to say Vermont. I'm sticking with Vermont. It's a U.S. company from Vermont, and they basically dare you to wear holes in them. If you wear holes in them for any reason whatsoever, you take it back to any distributor and say there's a hole in my sock, and they'll give you a new pair. So they've got a lifetime guarantee that they will not wear holes in them. And on any hike I've ever been on, there's never been a heat spot, never been a blister. I've never had issues with feet on a hike with a combination of the footwear that I have. These run me about $30 Canadian a pair, but again, you buy 3 pair, you never need to buy another pair of hiking socks. So that's good. So spend your money on good footwear. Again, go get sized, just do research, and there will be pages and pages of things and people telling you what is good for what, and what height you might be looking for, what materials you might be looking for, what sort of boot comes with what sort of structure and what sort of support. Look into it. That's all important, but spend money on boots and socks. It's very important. Yeah, so that's your footwear. That's one of the most important things you can spend money on. Don't cheap out on footwear. Don't cheap out on socks. Okay, so we've touched base on a pack, a tent, a sleep set, and footwear. So now what we're going to talk about is how to eat when you get where you're going. So it depends where you're going and where you are, I guess, in the world watching this, because in Canada here, in Alberta anyway, in some of the national parks, multiple trails and overnight backcountry campsites, you aren't allowed to even have a small fire pit or a fire of any sort. You are, of course, allowed to have fire for food, but it needs to be in the form of a canister stove, as these are called. I have the MSR Pocket Rocket. Again, my choice, not a suggestion in any way, shape, or form. Well, maybe, whatever, but I ended up getting this particular gas stand, which isn't MSR. I believe that's something altogether different, Jetboil. So in here, stuck in there forever. Smells like campfire. That took about an hour. So I got a little salt and pepper, camp soap, Loida, stove, base, fuel, I'm not going to go through the whole demonstration and show you guys that it can boil water in a minute and 10 seconds. Like, you guys get it. It does. Or whatever. If it doesn't, big whip. I mean, I'll eat when I eat. It's not going to boil it, right? Am I wrong? So anyway, typical eBay, Amazon, shitty bowl. Great bowl for weight. But these handles melt off right away, no problem. I also took this on the Athabasca Pass, so I was able to have fires, and I boiled water in this all the time, so it was above some flame. No big deal. That's what it's for. But other than that, you get it. That's the Pocket Rocket. It's a canister stove. You need them in most of the park campsites because you're not allowed to have a fire anymore anywhere on the planet. So that was my choice. You can get a Jetboil. You can get a reactor. I'm looking at getting a reactor stove. Don't really have a reason for it because I have this, and ultimately the reactor is a slightly cooler version of putting this on top of this. It's just a cooler version with a pot that doesn't even lock. It just sits on, but again, it's a cooler system of heating. But I don't really need it because nowhere will I be going that the wind's 350 miles an hour and I don't think of getting into some shelter. So it would be $200 that I would like to spend, but it's $200 that I don't really need to spend. So you have a pot off of eBay or Amazon, or you could go get a titanium one for like $80, not my thing. $45 for a stove. Keep an eye on your fuel. These don't go through them very fast. You could use one thing in like a 3-day hike. Bring a lighter. I bring multiple. You don't need the base. I just do that because I thought that was neat. A pack towel. I put that inside here because the base of these will rust, and you don't want rust inside your pot. You'd rather have no rust and it may be dry. I won't put that back in there right now because there's no need to keep it. That all fits into here. My only downside is this particular pot or stove, this particular stove does not fit inside that pot with everything else. So, however, there is another version, a little eBay version that does fit in there. That's another option. Those are like $13 on eBay. I do have one. It works absolutely perfectly. It actually has a little piezo lighter, so you don't need the lighter, but obviously you're going to be smart enough to bring a lighter with you anyway in case shit goes south. But you need a pot, nothing more than to boil a liter or two of water, because all I eat really when I'm out there is Mountain House and instant oatmeal, stuff like that. So minute amounts of water, depending. When I'm out on the Athabasca Pass and I can have a fire, what I'll do is I'll just go to the nearby stream or lake, scoop up some water, and it'll basically just boil away. You don't really have to bring water to a boil for an extended period of time for it to be overly clean. You can bring it to a boil and keep it at that for, you know, a minute. It's not like it's not clean unless you've boiled it for 15 minutes or anything like that. Most microbes that are going to hurt you are going to be dead by the boiling point of water. So you have stove, pot, fuel, lighter. I bring a mug. It's where I have my coffee in the morning, and it can tag to my bag. I bought a Light My Fire spork. It's titanium. It was probably overpriced at about 30 bucks, but it feels like it could let go. I mean, it probably won't under most circumstances, but there's no way I couldn't bend that. So you could also just go grab a plastic one each time you go out for about $3, and it's made by the same company. It's just plastic. And pack towels, that's up to you if you want to bring them. I have a couple different sizes. One's for, of course, cleaning up the kitchen. One might be for cleaning up my face in the morning and doing that. And then I also have a larger one, I guess, if I fall in a river or something on the way home. But you can bring sanitizer if you want. Camp soap. This camp soap would last me a month in the woods, I'm sure of it. It's that camp suds, it's ridiculous. It's crazy how much a couple of drops of this in a tub of water and you've got enough soap to clean your dishes. And salt and pepper, another. So again, I don't go for particularly lightweight. I don't go for anything you know, ultra light or anything like that. That's what you'll notice about me. One thing I've learned for sure is when you go get a bag, it most likely will not come with a cover. So I went out and I bought, I believe, a large cover, and keep in mind that's a medium bag. I bought a large cover to think that it would, if I have like my tent poles on the side, or you know, maybe the odd thing hanging off the bag, it would actually cover. Being large on a medium bag, not the case. It didn't really fit at all, and even with nothing on the outside of the bag, if it's fully loaded with the hood bag on, and maybe that's what it doesn't come into consideration for, is there's a pocket bag on top that can be removed, and maybe when that's removed this fits perfectly, but not even in that case. So I went out and just bought a Sea to Summit large 70 to 95 liter silicone kind of cover. I keep what I need to keep dry, and it works out fine for me, and I've been in some pretty insane things. So that's the first 5 things that I think you need to spend some money on and go get. In the next video, what I'll probably be doing is getting into things like your water situation, how you're going to carry it, how you're going to filter it, what you'll need for a headlamp, a light. We'll get into poles, what to expect about a pole, different types of poles, to deterrents, whether it's bug deterrents or bear deterrents, and we'll get into those sorts of things. So those are the first 5 essentials that I think you need in order to have a good time out in the mountains. Thanks for stopping by, and join us next time.